Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
When I go into the session, it's like Kermit the Frog is like, "Hi, OG." Miss Piggy is like, "Hi, OG." They say it in their voice, and I'm like, "Oh my God, Miss Piggy, she's saying hello to me."
Hi, this is Richard Epcar. Welcome to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
The podcast where there's a fine line between insanity and genius, but here it's drawn in red crayon. All right, so our guest today is a distinguished voice actor who has voiced some of the most iconic roles over the years. He's done work for the Batman Arkham series, DC's Injustice video games as the Joker, Naruto, Soul Calibur, Mortal Kombat, and so many others. His IMDb currently lists him somewhere between 600 and probably a million projects. However, we're very pleased and be able to speak with and welcome to the show today the supremely talented voice actor, Richard Epcar.
Hi,
welcome, Richard.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for cutting a few minutes out of your time for us and let us ask you some silly questions about voice acting work and what you've done and sharing some laughs with us.
There are no silly questions, only silly answers.
Oh, wait a few minutes. We're going to get a couple.
We hope that there are good silly answers too.
We're hoping for a bit of both.
Okay.
All right. So I'm always a fan and always in awe of you voiceover artists because you guys bring such life to your characters in a way that I think that the on-screen guys can't rival. And because I look at some of the things that you do between the amount of anime that you've done, the video games, animation, even the film work. You've voiced a lot and you've given so much life to so many memorable characters.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And so I wonder, do you ever worry that your characters will start sounding alike or that you're going to lose interest in character creation?
No, because, the characters are as different as the voices. So for me, when I'm creating a character, if I'm fortunate, I get to see a picture of the character. And usually when I see a picture of the character, I can come up with a voice for that character, how I would imagine that character would sound. When if they don't have that, then a lot of times they'll have a description of the character in the script, or you're working with the director to try to come up with a voice for the character. So there's a lot of ways that happens, and it's different on every single project. I just wanted to address something real quick that you said earlier about the on-camera actors. I'm also an on-camera actor, and I did a lot of that, particularly when I first came to LA. I did a lot of soaps and TV shows and that sort of thing.
Lewis on V.
Yeah. But the big difference with that is that generally, particularly in television, you're generally hired to kind of play yourself as this character generally. So there's not a lot of, honestly, when you think about it, think about some of the big stars like, George Clooney or Clint Eastwood or John Wayne. I'm dating myself with these older guys, but some of these new guys they're pretty much, when you think about it, they're pretty much themselves in every different movie. They'll be in different movies, but they're basically playing themselves as that character. Right. There's very few actors that get the opportunity to do on camera to play an incredibly different character than yourself. Like Gary Oldman is a great example of that. He does a lot of characters that are different than himself. He's a wonderful actor. Dustin Hoffman, another one who does that sort of thing. But I'm just saying that the nice thing about the voice acting is that in many ways you get to be more creative because all you're using is your voice. So you're not relegated to the way you physically appear. So you're not going to be cast necessarily the way you appear. You're going to be cast for the way you can create the voice for that character. So in some ways, I think voice acting can be more creative. That was a long-winded spiel about that, but I just,
We like long-winded spiels. That's fine.
It totally makes sense.
We're completely okay with long-winded spiels.
Oh, good, because that's my middle name, actually. So.
Oh, good, because those usually come from me, so I like hearing it from somebody else.
All right, good.
So as Tim mentioned, you have a huge list of credits.
Thank you.
It is impressive. And that actually made me wonder, how did you get into voice acting? I mean, you mentioned that you did on-screen acting as well, but how did you get into acting in general and then transition to voice acting?
Well, I was, as I said, I came to LA to be an on-camera actor, and I did a lot of that work. But on camera is not as prolific as the voice world is, basically. My wife, Ellen Stern, I was dating her at the time. We were boyfriend, girlfriend, and she had done a movie for a company, and they had another movie that they did, and they didn't like any of the actors in it, so they wanted to replace all the voices of the actors in the movie. And she said, "Can I bring my boyfriend?" who was me. And I went there, and the guy said, "Have you done this before?" It was a dubbing thing to replace the voices. And I said, "Oh yeah, I've done it a million times, and I never did it before in my life." And I went in there, and I took to it like a duck to water, because I'm also a drummer, and there's a real rhythm to doing this stuff. And as a director, I when I direct dubbing, I always see the people that are musical really have a better handle on this stuff than the people that are not musical. That's why a lot of the celebrities that come in and have to reloop or dub their work it's sometimes it's like pulling teeth for these guys. It's just really hard for them to figure it out. But I really took to it, and I really enjoyed it, and I got into it, and I got the lead in that particular thing. And then from there, they hired me in a bunch of other live action movies to replace actors. And then from that, I was hired to be in a little show called Robotech, which was the first anime that was on, well, not the first, but it was one of the first that was on national network television. And that was a big deal. And that kind of blew up. And after that, I just basically did not stop working, and still haven't, thankfully. Someone's got to pay for all this. But anyway, I have not stopped working since then. And it's turned out to be a really nice thing. And I'm really grateful that I kind of fell into it in a way. So, yeah.
I do love that you mentioned that you were also a drummer. The number of voice actors that we've talked to, we've been interviewing a lot of voice actors lately.
Yeah.
And there is that commonality of so many voice actors have some sort of musical background. They have some sort of musical history in their lives, whether it was grandparents being musicians and them growing up around the music industry, or even being in, like David Sobolov. We talked to him a few weeks ago, and he was in an a cappella group in college before he became a voice actor.
That makes a lot of sense with David Sobolov, actually.
It does. It really, really does. But he's
a really nice guy.
He was really nice to talk to.
I directed him in the past, and actually, he and I did a big convention in Salt Lake City together. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
But,
it's fascinating to me, the amount of musical people that go into voice acting. That actually it makes a lot of sense, because you do have that rhythm, and you do have that ability to match pitch and tone. And
yeah, plus all the guys that are recording you, they're all most of them are, they're guys that recorded music. They start out recording music, and then they got drafted into this crazy stuff. So we're all kind of 6 degrees of music, in this business. So and it's funny, my son is a professional drummer. He's a drummer on Broadway, and he's done a lot of shows on Broadway. And my daughter is a singer-songwriter, incredible singer and incredible songwriter. And so, it's funny, there's a lot of musicality in this family. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was interesting to me, though, that you brought up the voice looping.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I noticed in looking through all your credits, on the third day of reading through your credits, because it took me a while.
Takes forever to scroll through.
Lord of the Rings has a quicker read through than on his credits list. But one of the things
more interesting.
I don't know. I was pretty interested in your credits list. Going, oh wow, I didn't know he was in that.
Right,
That's
the number of times
cool.
I'm like, oh wait, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Totally did it.
That's the one thing people always say to me. I didn't know that was you, and it's like, how do you respond to that? Well, I don't know. I didn't know it was me either. I don't know. What do you say?
Well, we were talking with Anna Graves a couple weeks back, and I said that to her, that some of the things that she was on, I was very much surprised that she was a part of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was attached to that project. And she said, well, she took it as a compliment. She said, well, that means I did my job right if you didn't know it was me. Yeah. And I went, okay, well, that makes sense to me. As a voice actor, you weren't distinguishable. You created a voice. You had a character. So.
Yeah. That's honestly, that's one of the most fun things for me as a voice actor, when people come up to me and they say, I had no idea that was you, because like you say, it's something that's totally unrecognizable from what they perceive your voice to be. And you feel like, wow, I really became that character. And they had no idea it was me. So that's always fun for me to hear that.
Yeah, I can imagine. But as I was saying about the looping, I had to look something up because I noticed on Deadpool and Deadpool 2, you're credited for voice acting and something that was called an ADR loop group. And I'm like, what in the world? I had to Google search that and figure out what an ADR loop group was. And then I was like, oh, it's voice looping. Okay. So can you tell us what voices you worked on in Deadpool and then what you looped?
Well, in Deadpool, you're lucky this is one of the ones that I actually remember because, having done over 600, sometimes you can't always remember. In Deadpool, I did the efforts for Colossus, and in Deadpool 2, I did the efforts for Juggernaut.
Okay.
So when we do group looping, that's basically anytime you go to a movie and you see people like in restaurants, or if the Tyrannosaurus behind Kathleen's head is attacking a group of people, you hear people screaming and running. They don't necessarily do all that stuff while they're actually shooting the movie. They do that when they come back in the studio, and then they sweeten all that stuff with loop groups, which I do some of that work as well. And sometimes we have to redo people's voices in the movies, or we have to, like in Planet of the Apes, the newer ones. I don't know if you remember the first one, but there was this giant gorilla named Buck. I did his voice.
Oh, okay.
In that movie. So I do a lot of crazy stuff like that in movies, and I've been in a lot of big films doing that kind of work, which is always kind of fun. To do that stuff. But it's a group of people, and it happens in animation, it happens in live action. There's going to be scenes where they're in a crowd of people, or a group of people, or giving a speech to a bunch of people, and they're cheering at the end or whatever, that sort of thing. Or they could be talking at a cocktail party, or anything like that where they need to fill that ambient sound. That's what loop groups do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I read about that last night on Google, and I was like, oh. And I think I probably read it for about 10, 15 minutes, a couple different articles, a couple different sources that, Google cited. And I thought, I actually learned something while doing research.
That's cool. Actually the best kept secret in show business. I'll tell you, there's a group of people that do it constantly, and they do really well for themselves. They make really good money. They work all the time. They do really, really well. And it's one of those jobs that a lot of people, outside of the industry, and even some of the people inside the industry, really don't even know that it exists. But it's a great source of revenue for voice actors. Anyone out there who wants to get involved in that sort of thing, it's a great way to make a living. It really is.
It's one of those things that you don't think about, but then, like you mentioned, public, if they're giving a speech or they're at a party, there's all of that background noise. There's all of that.
Yeah.
And that has to come from somewhere. I like
in hospitals and, anything. It can be a battlefield. It can be any, I mean, it depends on the movie, what the movie is, but it's, and you have to be, ready to jump in. And if it's in a police station, you have to know some of the jargon that cops use. If it's on a battlefield, you have to know what soldiers would say. If it's in a hospital, you have to have some medical terms that you need to do, and that sort of thing. And it's just, there's people that are really excellent at it, and that's really what they do all the time, and they, like I say, they do really well and make a good career for themselves doing that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So one of your credits is playing Gotham City's own Clown Prince of Crime, who I happen to love. In case
yes, I see the picture behind your head.
I'll be okay.
I'm going to need a couple minutes. I'll be right back.
No. So he has been portrayed, from a quick Google search for me, Joker has been portrayed by over 30 actors throughout the years. So how do you make such a well-known role?
But I'm the only good one.
That's hard to say. That's hard to say, because Mark Hamill's also really good.
No, Mark is great. And, the funny thing about with Mark and me is that Mark has done him forever. He's done him for a long time. And when I first started doing them, people thought I was trying to copy Mark, which is impossible because I've never actually heard Mark. To this day, I've never heard Mark's Joker. But Mark was really sweet. I was on Facebook one time and somebody kind of accused me of doing that. And I said, thank you for the compliment, but I've never heard Mark's Joker, and Mark actually came on and said, well, I've heard yours and I think it's wonderful. So I thought, what a great guy he is to do that. So that was really nice.
Very classy.
Yeah, I thought so. But anyway, getting back to your story, the way that part came about, it was a few years ago, and I was auditioning for this thing called Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted me to audition for all the different characters, for all the characters in Mortal Kombat and all the characters in DC Universe. And, it was really fun. It was like being a kid in a candy shop because it was all the, Batman and Superman and Joker and all these characters. And then all the fun characters in Mortal Kombat. So they had DC on the horn. They had Warner Brothers on. They had NetherRealm Studios on listening in. And they wanted me to do all the characters, which I did. And the two characters that I really, really liked a lot was Joker and Raiden. And the casting director asked me afterwards, she said, Richard, they like you for everything. What would you like to do? Which they never asked the actor they don't care what the actor wants to do. It's always up to, the casting directors and the producers and that sort of thing. But I said, honestly, when I did the Joker, it was just so much fun. And I'd never tried to do the Joker. I never, worked on him or anything. It just came out of me, this voice. And the laugh and everything. And I said, and I love Raiden as well. So, literally a couple of days later, she called up and said they booked you for both of those characters. So that was great. And I've been doing that ever since. That was 13 years ago. So I've done those characters for Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, for Injustice 1 and 2, for Mortal Kombat 11. Another game called Infinite Crisis I played the Joker in, and then the new thing called Joker's Funhouse, which is it's an amusement park that Warner Brothers is building or has built in Dubai of all places.
Oh.
And so one of the big rides there, it's kind of like the Indiana Jones thing that they do at Disneyland, but this is with the Joker, and I take over the ride and I terrify them, and then of course Batman comes at the end and saves the day.
Fun.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm very honored to be playing that character. He's a very iconic character. As I said, I've done over 600 characters, but a lot of those characters, if you're not into anime or some of these other shows, you probably wouldn't know who they are. But everybody knows who the Joker is. So
right.
that's nice to have that character.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's a fun character.
He's a great character.
So, because you were just talking about being Joker and Raiden in Mortal Kombat versus DC. So, what was it like doing those scenes against yourself?
Well, I'm schizophrenic, so it worked out okay. Actually, so, it wasn't a problem. It's really fun. You don't really think about it. I've throughout my career, I've done multiple characters in shows and had to talk to myself as different characters. So once again, that's always a fun thing if people don't really detect that it's you doing the all the characters, and it's really great. And so I've been able to do that. And generally, when you do something like that, you do one character all the way through, and then you come back and you do the other character all the way through. So it's really not as weird as it might seem.
Yeah, you're not bouncing between the dialogues.
Yeah, you're not trying to do back and forth. It could be done, but it certainly wouldn't be an ideal way to do it. But yeah, so.
I can't imagine your voice would enjoy doing that.
Yeah, it would be. It would be fun. I wouldn't mind. Listen, I'm very easy to work with. Whatever they want, I jump in and I do it. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a solid way to approach it.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep on the video game theme here for just a minute longer, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because I'm curious, because some of these games like Mortal Kombat and Injustice, these fighting, PvP games, there's a lot of non-commentary sounds.
Yeah.
So how does that change or alter your approach, whether you're in a home studio or a studio? How do you prepare for the sounds that are required for a fighting game? Because there's a lot of grunts, groanings, sounds of the sounds you have to make for somebody being struck by something, oofs and ahs, and
well, all that stuff is scripted. It's scripted. So, there'll be generally what we do is say he gets hit, you get punched in the face, or you get punched in the stomach, or you get hit with a pipe, or I mean, it's all very it's really tells you how to do it. So when you see in the script what's going on, then you just react to it accordingly and go for it. So if you're getting hit in the face, you just that kind of thing. You get hit in the stomach, it's whatever whatever it is. So you go along with it, and like I say, they generally have it in the script. Now a lot of times on those efforts and exertions, they'll have we'll do maybe three to five different, maybe small getting hit in the face, and then medium getting hit in the face, and then a big getting hit in the face, and then you're throwing a punch, so you're going to throw it 5 times, not really hard, and then you're going to do it medium, and so you're doing a bunch of stuff, so they can pick and choose what they think will match the animation once they get it all set up. So it's that kind of thing as well.
Nice.
Unless you're actually watching it, if you're dubbing something and you see it, then you just go along with what you see on the screen. But if it's an original animation thing, like games mostly are, and original animation, then it is in the script, and it does tell you what's going on. Like your character gets hit with a broomstick, or whatever it is, and then you imagine what that would sound like, so, and replicate it.
Okay, well, that all makes sense to me.
Yeah, very
clear. All right. So clearly, with a name like Funny Science Fiction Podcast, yes. we focus on sci-fi, superheroes, and even some fantasy-based stuff. And this all originates from our Facebook group, which is now over 126,000 members.
Yeah.
And growing every day. But and our members are always interested in knowing what was the inspiration for young Richard growing up. They always want to know what the people that we talk to, what was their inspiration growing up? Was there a movie, a comic book, or a book that really caught your attention and made you go, man, that's what I want to do?
I have, so it's funny because some of the people that I haven't seen in a million years that I grew up with going to school say to me, they all say, oh, we knew you were going to do this kind of work because you were always doing voices in school and stuff like that. And I guess I did do a lot of that stuff, and I impersonated a lot of people and did that sort of thing. So I guess they kind of knew I was going to fall into this stuff. I always just thought I was going to, just be an on-camera actor and do that. But, life has a strange way of making turns when you least expect it. But
sure. Yeah.
Anyway, I had some weird, not the usual stuff. I certainly did like Superman and Batman comics when I was a kid. I certainly did like that growing up. There was another one called Herbie, which I'm sure no one's ever heard of. He was kind of a funny character. He was this kind of short, dumpy kid who everyone made fun of him, but he had a briefcase filled with lollipops, and each lollipop gave him a different power. So he could become, if he wanted to be invisible, he would take that lollipop and lick that, and he would become invisible. And so and they were all written really funny. I mean, it was a very funny comic book. I don't even know if you could even find them anymore, but I love that. I liked, is it the Phantom? The Phantom who used to be in the jungle and ride the horse.
Yeah.
And I used to love those comic books. I used to love, there was another one called Slade, which was about a guy who used to be an Olympic medalist, and then he became a kind of a private detective and used his athletic prowess to solve the cases and find the bad guys and that sort of thing. So that was kind of an interesting one too. One of the animated things that I really did enjoy was there was a Lone Ranger. I think it only ran one season, but it was all done in Indian ink and watercolor, and it was one of the most beautiful. I wish I could find it today. It was really amazing, and I just fell in love with that as a kid and loved that. So many things, but as you can see on the back of the wall here, my big influence and love was James Bond, and I grew up with him, and I love all those movies, and I'm working on this series called Lupin the Third. I've been working on that for about 20 years, directing a lot of them, writing a lot of them, and doing the voice of Jigen in most, and Zenigata in some, and that. When I met Monkey Punch, who created Lupin the Third, he told me that he based a lot of this stuff on the James Bond movie. So
cool.
we had that in common, and we had that bond, the bond with Bond. So
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you see what I did there. But anyway, I did a lot of stuff, and ever since I was a kid, even in like kindergarten, I used to write these silly skits that. I used to have some of the kids in the class, and we would perform them for the class, and I just loved that people would laugh at the laugh lines, and we just had a lot of fun doing that. So I guess I was doomed to end up in this business.
I think there's much worse things you could have been doomed for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned Herbie, so then I'm like, oh, I don't know if I know that. So I looked it up and found some of the old cover photos.
Yeah. His catchphrase was, "I'll bop you with this here lollipop." That was his catchphrase.
I was laughing at this one. This is the 1964. I don't know which issue this is, but it just at the top of the comic book says, "Make way for the Fat Fury."
Yeah. Yeah. They were hilarious. And I feel bad. I don't even know who wrote them. I don't know who created them. But the thing is, it's nice. Isn't it nice that we're mentioning it? That whoever wrote this and created it, see, your work wasn't in vain. We still love you.
Right.
We still think about it.
There you go.
There are some really cool cover photos, cover art. These are really cool. I'm going to be researching this more because that looks hilarious.
See, and I turned you on to it, and
you did.
Maybe there'll be a resurrection of Herbie from all this.
There you go.
I just thought that was a cute idea,
I like the magical lollipops.
Yeah,
that is cool.
And he's an anti-hero too, which is good. There's a lot of kids that don't look like Superman or Batman, so they could go, hey, we got this guy, and he could be a role model or whatever. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely.
That was fun. Yeah.
So with all of the roles that you've had, is there one that you're particularly proud of, or one that you feel like doesn't get enough attention?
There's a bunch of them I'm particularly proud of. You mentioned two of them, Raiden and Joker. I love doing those guys, and I hope to be doing them forever until I can do them no more. There's a relatively new one that I've been doing, Akuma in Street Fighter. He's kind of a tough one. It's like at the end of those sessions, you might as well just gargle some battery acid and call it a day. But wow. I love doing Jigen and Lupin the Third. There's one that Ansem from Kingdom Hearts is a very popular character that I do, and Terra Xehanort. What else? Oh, Bato and Ghost in the Shell, very popular character. I love doing him. He's another one of my all-time favorite characters. There's one character that I really love doing, and some people know him, but it was for a game called. I'm trying to remember the name of the game now. I played this character, Ziggurat 8, Ziggy. Xenosaga was the name of the game. And we were supposed to do 5 of them. We wound up doing 3 of them. And actually, the character is really interesting because he's kind of like RoboCop. His family gets killed, and he kills himself, and then they come back and they reanimate him and make him do their bidding for him. And it's just... there's a lot of pathos in the character, which as an actor really makes it fun to play because he has a lot of levels, not just like a normal character. He's got a lot of this stuff going on in his life, and there's a lot of sadness as well. But it's a really cool character, and every once in a while I'll go to a convention and people will know of Ziggy, and they'd be excited about that. There was a crazy character I played, Bo. I don't know if you know him, but he fought crime with his nose hairs, which seems like, that seems like, I would love to be at that pitch meeting. You know, what do you got? I got this character that fights crime with his nose hairs. We're going to greenlight this. This sounds like a great idea.
Makes
And
as
go.
much sense as Sharknado. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, it makes more sense in Sharknado still.
yeah, everything.
I
makes
don't,
more sense
I
than
don't know.
Sharknado.
I wouldn't be so sure.
I
But
don't. I worked in nursing homes and I've seen some pretty impressive nose hairs. I can imagine that they might have the ability to fight crime.
yeah, now if you could just train those nose hairs, you know, to whip
Exactly.
around and, you know, hit somebody in the eye, you know, you could do all kinds of damage.
Braid them up, sharpen them to a point. You got some
Yeah.
weapons.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so Richard, we've gotten ourselves to a point here where we're in our show where we like to run a little quiz with our guests.
Uh-oh.
So it's a 5-question quiz.
Uh-huh.
They're all multiple choice.
Okay, good.
Okay.
If you
Now
don't like the quiz, it's all Tim's fault.
it is Tim's fault because Tim writes the quiz, and therefore, if you don't like it, it's on me.
He writes
How-
the quizzes that all people sing.
That's or something.
Something like that.
So if you get 3 questions correct, we want to send you this mug that I
okay.
gave to the Red Shirt Widows and
Oh,
Orphans
okay.
Club.
Oh, so I have to get them correct. I thought these were just the choices. Okay. All right.
No. If you get 3 correct, we'll send you that mug.
Oh, I want that mug.
If you get 4 correct, we're going to send you the mug and this book, Custodians of the Cosmos, written by our group founder, Drayton Allen.
Wow.
It's written about a young man who wanted to join the Star Trek Federation, wasn't able to make it, so he washed out. So instead, he's a custodian on one of the ships, and now he boldly cleans up after those who boldly just went. So, so that's if you get 3. If you get 3, you get the mug. If you get 4, you get the mug and the book. However, if you only get 2 correct, there has to be what we call a fun sequence, because consequence just sounds bad. So what
I'm
we'd
not
like
so
to do,
sure I like where this is going. Yeah.
it's not as bad as it sounds, I promise.
All right.
We'd like to take your picture and make a meme out of you and post it in our group.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All righty. Then we get to have some fun here. All right.
All right.
Kathleen, take us away with question 1.
Question number 1. What is the real name of the Joker depicted in Tim Burton's Batman? A. Jack Napier, B. Jerome Valeska, or C. Jackson Decker?
Jack Napier.
Correct.
Correct. Very good.
You had to add Jerome in there, though.
I did, because I like Jerome.
I do too.
It was always so sad that they couldn't call him the Joker. They just had to call him Jerome.
I honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about the Joker movie, but I thought it was a little weird, to be honest with you. I didn't like it because I felt like it was just a whole other character, you know, that they were just, that had nothing to do with the Batman Joker. And this guy was just obviously mentally ill and going around killing people. And I don't really think that's what the Joker's deal is, but
you know, there's been a lot of discussion about that movie, and some of it is that it's if you look at the clocks on the wall, they never change time. They're always at the same time. And so this is that the whole movie is supposedly set inside of his mind, and he's, you know, during one of his sessions that you see him in at the end, that none of that really happened. It was just in his mind.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I don't know if that's true or not. We haven't had a chance to sit down with the director.
Well,
Maybe
I noticed
one
when
day.
I was sitting watching the movie, it felt like the clocks weren't changing either. So
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that one.
So there's that.
As much as I love Joker, I didn't love that one.
yeah, listen, he did an amazing job. I don't want to take anything away from him.
No, his portrayal was
No,
great. It
no,
just
Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor.
But I
just
just
wasn't
felt
Joker.
the story was not really the Joker from the Batman. You know, I just
Right.
thought it was a whole different character, you know.
Right. Well, a lot of people feel that way too. So I don't think you're alone.
Those people are right.
All right. Question 2.
Yes.
The Joker made his first appearance in which of the following comic books? Detective Comics number 27, Batman number 1, or Brave and the Bold number 4?
I'm going to say Detective 27.
Yeah, it's actually Batman number 1
Oh, really? From the first Batman movie.
from the get-go.
Wow. Boy, I screwed that up, didn't I?
That's okay.
My wife and I actually met Bob Kane, if you can believe that.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, we actually met Bob Kane, and we were getting our on-camera videos edited, and he happened to be there. I guess it was his girlfriend or somebody that he was with that he was helping. And we started talking, and at the time, Batman, it was before the Batman thing really blew up, and they did the Michael Keaton movie and all that. But I was talking to him, and he was saying, you know what you need, Richard, to succeed in Hollywood. I said, no, Bob, what do I need? He said, you need to come up with a character like Batman. I said, oh, okay, great. That's no problem. That's easy, right?
So many people have done it. Yeah. Okay, I'll get right on that.
Not really. He's a great character. They really hit gold with that deal.
Yes, they did.
All right. Well, speaking of Bob Kane, question number 3.
Uh-oh.
The Joker character was created by Bill Finger, Bob Kane, and A, Jerry Springer, B, Jerry Siegel, or C, Jerry Robinson.
No, I have to say Bob Kane. It's probably not right, though, is it?
No. It's Bill Finger, Bob Kane, and who is the third? Jerry Springer, Jerry Siegel, or Jerry Robinson?
Is it Jerry Siegel?
No, it's Jerry Robinson.
I'm batting 1,000 on this deal, aren't I?
Well,
it just shows you don't have to know the history of the character
That's
to portray
right.
the character.
That's right. All right, we're going to switch gears and go away from Joker.
Thank God.
So Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Has his powers modeled after what Japanese god? Is it A, Raiden, B, Fujin, or C, Inare?
Raiden.
Raiden is correct. All right.
Hey.
All right, you got
How many right is that?
That's 2.
Okay.
2 out of 4. You're at 50%. So you've got your 5th question here. You guys still get a chance to get the mug.
I want that mug.
All
Listen,
right.
you mugs.
Question 5. Raiden's appearance is inspired by what movie character? A, Raiden from Big Trouble in Little China, B, Chen Zhen from Fists of Fury, or C, Tang Lung from The Way of the Dragon?
I'm going to say Raiden from Big Trouble in Little China.
That is correct.
You, sir,
You get
win
a
yourself
mug.
a mug.
I
And you escaped
scored.
being memed.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Woo,
In fact,
that was close.
his appearance in Big Trouble in Little China, he's got the basket over his head. He works with electricity. It's very much similar to Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
So you're saying they ripped it off, is what you're saying?
Inspired. It was inspired.
Borrowed.
I so
There's
many
a heavy
people,
leaning on borrowing.
I have to go see that because I have so many people have told me that you got to go see that movie, and I've yet to see it, and I got to see it. There's so many great movies out there. You can't see them all, but I should definitely see that just because I've heard that that's kind of where he kind of came from, that character. But I don't know anything about that movie, but I'm assuming that the whole thing about Raiden being this noble, honorable character, I'm pretty sure they kind of came up with that aspect of his personality and everything.
Mhm.
I think. I don't know. Of course, I haven't
seen Big Trouble in Little China in ages, so
Yeah.
I would not be the one to be able to tell you what the plot line is even anymore in that one. I should
have watched
Trouble
that
in
one.
Little China.
I should have watched that one instead. I watched the other Kurt Russell movie, Escape from New York.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's so funny when you go and see, I work with John Carpenter. I was in a movie called Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Right.
And John Carpenter directed that. He also directed Escape from New York. So it was kind of fun to see that movie. He was great. John Carpenter, great director and great guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, Richard, we want to thank you so much for being on our show today.
My
Where
pleasure.
can our viewers and our listeners go to find out more about your previous work and what you're doing now?
The best thing is to please follow me on Instagram. I would really love it if you guys would follow me on Instagram. That's where I pretty much tell a lot of the stuff that's going on. I have, I've got to look up some of these. Can I plug some stuff real quick?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Okay.
This
So
is your time to shine.
my time to plug. Well,
There you
let's
go.
see here. I have something coming up. Is it, oh, no, that's not the one I was looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for. Let me see here. Is this okay? I've got a lot of stuff coming out. Lupin the Third, the First, the CGI movie, which looks amazing, is going back into the theaters on the 29th and 30th of August. If you get a chance to go see
Cool.
it and you feel safe, go do it. Otherwise, it's on, I believe it's on Amazon. You can see it there, but it's really, if you get a chance to see it in the big theater, it's really incredible. And I do the voice of Jigen in that, and I also wrote the adaptation for that film.
Nice.
The other thing I wanted to push is my wife and I are working on a series called Life's a Bitch, and it's a sitcom, and it's very cute. If you get a chance, you can go on YouTube and put in Life's a Bitch and see our 2 teasers that we did on there. And it stars Ellen Stern, myself, and Stephen Tobolowsky, who's a wonderful actor. You probably recognize him from a lot of the stuff he's been in. The guy's been in pretty much everything. And it's really a cute show. It's about an older couple who are having a little problems with their marriage, and they get Stephen Tobolowsky to be their marriage counselor. So it's kind of a funny show. And my wife wrote it and produced it, so it's great. And what else is going on? God, so much stuff. The conventions are starting to pick up again, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing any of them until after 2022, because I think that's probably when things will settle down and get a little more safe again. But
I understand that.
Yeah, and that's about it. And like I say, please follow me on Instagram. I would love it. And you can always visit my website at richardepcar.com. And I do have a presence on Twitter and Facebook as well, so you can see all those things. But I'm really trying to wean off of those other ones and go more on Instagram.
Okay.
We will make sure that we have all of that. I mean, Tim's already typing it out. I see him doing it.
Yeah. It's just Richard Epcar on Instagram. You can follow me there.
We will make sure that that's out there so that our viewers can find you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
And we want to remind our viewers that subscribing is the single most important thing you can do to ensure that we get more amazing guests like Richard here today, and we can provide you with more funny moments to listen to. So please subscribe to our show. It's going to help us far more than you're ever going to know and appreciate. And please be sure to check out Richard at richardepcar.com and on Instagram as well, and you'll find out more about all of his wonderful works there. Now, of course, if you're not happy with the content of today's video, all you have to do is submit in duplicate form, of course, to the Clown Prince himself, the Joker. And let's be honest, you can fill them out in quadruplicate if you wanted to. It's not really going to matter. In fact, the only thing that we can be certain of is that neither you or I are going to be happy with the results, because let's be honest, he's coming after us both. And although his name is the Joker, chances are it's not going to be very funny.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Richard.
My
this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It was a lot of fun for me too. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which helps support the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 57. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and defends us all from the Joker 11 minutes before the Justice League shows up, he will know that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphan Fund has his back. And what's left of his transport ship, and a gun that comically says bang.
Now, speaking of sponsors and show partners, check out this short video that we have from our other show partner, Level Up Lightsabers.
Information about Level Up Lightsabers and their online training sessions can be found in the episode description below.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySci-Fi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Copyright 2020 by Drayton Allen. Original music by Jordan Michaels. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of or by Funny Science Fiction or its sponsors. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at draytonallen@draytonallen.com.